Tell me if you feel the same way. It's been far too long since the last time there was this much hype around any singular game. Honestly, when was the last time you were so excited? I'm personally ultra hyped about Crimson Desert, but what was the last game before this? I honestly think it was, what, Cyberpunk 2077? And well, we all know how that one ended. But Crimson Desert has actual gameplay, it looks real, and my god, if this is not the next massive big thing with everything that we have seen and know about it, I am gonna be beyond upset, boys. But I think it's gonna be the next big thing. I think Crimson Desert is gonna be legendary.
Every once in a while, a new game appears that seems too good to be true. Sometimes these things turn out to be all-time classics, sometimes they end up being pretty terrible. I wouldn't blame anyone for being skeptical about any game that's promising everything in the kitchen sink, especially...
We completely forget that you can lift sheep and pigs in Crimson Desert. Honestly, not enough people talk about it. I am excited.
Now in 2026, where we've all been burned too many times to count, developers and publishers alike talk a big game, they don't follow through because they can't follow through, and yet rarely, sometimes a game comes out that lives up to all of its promises and more. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today, I think we might actually be talking about one of those games. With each new trailer revealed for Crimson Desert, it seems more and more likely that this game might just beat the odds. It's possible, and let me make special emphasis, possible is the word I'm using, not certain.
Possible is an understatement. Again, the gameplay looks real. Everything that's shown looks completely real. The ambition is obviously great. A lot of people are saying it's too great to be true, but I think it's all true. That's the best part. This thing looks as real as it gets. Now, granted, we haven't played it, so maybe the gameplay itself is not going to be a 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10 a banger, but we don't know that yet. There are some small details currently that you can only truly experience when you play the game, but everything beyond that point, which is typically what we always predict right on this channel, looks good, feels good, and is interesting.
But it's very possible this could be a great game. Right from the very first reveal, Crimson Desert had a lot going for it, with sharp visuals, visceral combat. As we learned more about the game, the frankly absurd scope of the project became more and more clear. This is not your average open-world fantasy action game. It is some kind of everything game, except for it kind of looks like it might actually be that. Like, there's a highly complex battle system that uses multiple weapon types and grappling moves. There's mounts that range from a bear to a horse to a dragon, which flies, that you can mount.
Now, the dragon is admittedly endgame.
And yet Nintendo is not all up in their grill with a lawsuit. For whatever reason, we figured out the reason. Listen to the Falcon Show, by the way. Click join down below. That gives you exclusive access every week. There's an episode called Lawsuits for Fun. It's episode number 11. If you want to know more about that, it's there. Anyways, there's huge regions that appear completely different visually, and a wide variety of boss encounters that range from human size to Shadow the Colossus style nonsense. But I mean, that sounds like I'm saying, oh, it's sort of like Elden Ring, right? Well, except that there's also a bunch of extremely powerful...
Well, it does look like it actually has probably some of the best aspects of Elden Ring. The character customization options, the way that you choose to play the game, and the encounters seem very cool.
Movement abilities, including some kind of magic grappling hook, a gliding mechanic, the ability to climb on every surface, and 2 other playable characters with their own weapons and combat mechanics and traversal abilities. There is an ultra hand light-ish.
Oh, wait, wasn't it 3?
ability. You can pick up and manipulate objects. There's powerful spells where you can do even crazier stuff like rocket jump straight up in the air, slam down enemies. There's full-on castle assaults and hundreds of enemies, crazy boss encounters, and it doesn't even...
Yeah, you can apply different elements to your attacks and slightly modify them. In some cases, you can even change them, which is very cool.
Stop there. There's puzzles, dragons, floating ruins, alternate dimensions, a whole host of mundane activities to get immersed in, like farming and ranching and cooking and gambling. Apparently, there's so much in this game, it's almost impossible to list everything in
It would not be a modern day without a little bit of that gamba.
a timely fashion, and every other new preview they come out with reveals some new facet of the game. There is an onslaught of information, and it really does make Crimson Desert feel like an impossible game. Like there's no way someone could possibly deliver on everything this game is promising. There's got to be a catch somewhere, right?
Why not, honestly? Now, I know we're usually skeptical about these things, but I have seen enough things that look real. Listen, this does not look like the Witcher 4 demo, okay? Oh, and by the way, did you know that the Witcher 4 is gonna get another tech demo that I'm sure they're not gonna try and lie to people and sell as real gameplay? Oh, CDPR is so dead, it's insane. Oh, but in any case, there's enough here for most people to easily call it real. I don't think in the modern day it is too hard to create a game that does a lot of things. I do think, honestly, that Crimson Desert at the end of the day is going to be roughly like this. There's going to be a lot of systems, there's going to be a lot of activities and possibilities for you to do, but only a handful of activities, only a handful of stuff is going to be the really, truly worth it things, and none of them are going to go super in-depth on things. That's how I think Crimson Desert is going to play out. Now, granted, maybe they patch it up, maybe they update it, maybe they make an expansion. Since this is a single-player game, technically, they're definitely, I think, going to sell expansion, because this thing is going to sell like hotcakes. This thing is a guaranteed success, okay? To borrow the legendary words of some idiot who developed Highquad, if there's one project that no one's worried about it failing, it's Crimson Desert, okay? Only unlike Highquad, it's actually gonna succeed. At this point, the hype is too big, okay? Crimson Desert can honestly have like, I don't know, 2 or 3 ultra devastating newses in a row about it, about something being alive or whatever, and I think there's still enough good faith from the player base looking into it to actually ignore it. There's no way this thing is not an absolute giant hit when it releases. And I think there are games that offer people a lot. I mean, No Man's Sky is a great example of something that offers people a lot of things to do and it delivers on them. Now, granted, this is also a game that started very poorly, aka delivered nothing, but No Man's Sky turned it around. So there are there's possibilities of games offering you a lot of things to do. Technically, think about it. Like Skyrim has a lot of shit to do. You got crafting. You got stuff, I guess. And Crimson Desert is the same. It has a lot of stuff to do. It doesn't need to be super in depth.
Now, let's just go ahead and say this. It's highly probable that there is a catch somewhere. There's no such thing as a perfect game. Even the best games, the very best, have flaws. Sometimes even significant flaws.
Zanzibar has literally 0 flaws. If you know, you know.
Like both of the open world Zeldas operating on the original Switch is a fucking disaster. Once you've played it in 60 frames per second on the Switch too. It's like, why weren't we talking about how bad these games run? But I guess relatively speaking, the Switch original also had that Pokemon game. That ran worse despite the fact that...
Which Pokemon game? At this point, all Pokemon games look like abhorrent AI garbage.
Was a way simpler game, so I mean, either way, it's a huge accomplishment what they did in the Zelda games, especially on the Switch. But still, I don't think you could cram what they're trying to do with Crimson Desert onto the Switch. but I don't think they're trying to either. And
True.
whatever flaws it does end up having, because it will have flaws, it doesn't make it a bad game, just a game. That's how games are. I want to be upfront and just say, I honestly have no idea how this game is going to turn out. It could be absolutely amazing, could be middling, could be terrible. I have to say the latter two are seemingly increasingly unlikely, as they've provided more and more evidence that this is a real game that does do at least the things that they've shown us it does. And previews from people who have actually gotten a chance to play it were
I mean, yeah, also, people have already played this game, so we know 100% it's real. But I mean, look at this. It doesn't look bad, but this is not exactly breathtaking, okay? It's good. It's definitely good. I like it. There's a dog to pet. There's a donkey. I like those things. I like animals. There's the cool castle over there. There's flowers in the fields. I love flowers in fields. It's great. Everyone loves flowers in fields, right? But it's not the sharpest detail. You can see it looks kind of a little bit scuffed even here. And if your game was fake, then this would look like a pure cinema, okay? This would be all sharp, 140, 80p, whatever quality. It would be the crispest thing ever. But this, no, this is real.
actually gotten a chance to play it were pretty positive. Although I'm not going to say that it's impossible. That's BS. Ever. I mean, we've had people playing games coming back telling us that we're gonna think it's amazing, and
yeah, but that was like Payday 3 where the act man said that, oh, this is the best thing ever. And everyone knows that he will lie for anyone who gives him money. So there you go.
then we get Anthem. Remember the early previews for Anthem? Remember? I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. I think it's fair to say that this is a hype video. I'm trying to acknowledge that doubt exists, but it's hard not to be at least a little hyped about Crimson Desert at this point, because it really shows a lot of promise with all these Life and Pywin previews. But aside from a hype video, I'm really trying to impart a reality check. This video is just as much about what Crimson Desert is as it isn't. The developers may be setting themselves up to some impossible standards with the kinds of promises they're making, although they do keep showing us stuff that looks like it probably will at least fulfill a lot of it. Still, it's important to keep stuff in perspective. And yeah, I understand. I'm waffling between two positions. You don't have to write the comment. I just like acknowledging the potential for both good and bad. I think that it's important, and I think it's a lot easier not to be disappointed, but also I don't want to be overly cynical. I like enjoying things, and I like looking forward to things. And it's important to understand this. I mean, it's not The Witcher 3. It's
I mean, The Witcher 3 probably doesn't have a lot, honestly, on this bad boy, because it's probably going to be just honestly that good. Okay, again, a full sended belief mode, boys. What can I honestly tell you?
not Skyrim. It's not an open world RPG. It's got RPG elements, certainly, but what open world game?
Well, I mean, it has a main story, so yeah, it has RPG elements in it because it has a story with choices that are supposed to matter, by the way.
Does not. There is no dialogue system here. There are not branching story paths. There are not alternative ways to complete quests. The developers have been very clear about this. This is an action game, and it is not an RPG. There are progression systems, but they're mostly tied.
Wait, no, there are things that actually have impact in your choices. What the hell? They're supposed to be, right?
To upgrades that you find the equipment which you can craft or buy or unlock, which of course does not mean there is not a ton of extra stuff to do. There's a surprising amount of content that we have seen thus far in, demo videos, more or less. Like, you can wrestle and go fishing and decorate your house and upgrade your camp. You can cut down trees. There's
no good game that doesn't have fishing.
Alchemy and cooking and weapon crafting, recipes to find out in the world, construction materials that you're going to need, manuals to read about. There's a lot of stuff going on. And the world's not just static like in other games. There's a law and order system at play where if you attack villagers or get caught stealing, then you'll get pursued and guards will lock you up in prison. The more I see of the game, the more I see it as kind of a combo of Dragon's Dogma without the pawns and Tears of the Kingdom without the craziest of the powers. But man, a lot of stuff fills in the blanks. And I get that kind of undersells it
He was wearing a raccoon on his head based.
a bit. There's so much going on here. The game has a flying dragon mount, again to Nintendo's chagrin. Listen to episode 11 of the Falcon Show, and a war mech, a mech.
Nintendo can't copyright the flying dragon mount. Listen, even the US court system is not dumb enough to grant that patent. They did grant, admittedly, Nintendo a different type of patent, which they which they revoked. Never heard them do that before, by the way. But they have. Very interesting stuff, okay? Nintendo can't throw in Dragon's Dogma, okay? Nintendo is currently fighting against Palworld, and it's not looking that great for them.
Mech for war, a mech that you can pilot, and is just listed alongside one of a dozen features. Like, it's safe to say there's a lot in this game. Apparently, there's more that has not been revealed. That's what the developers claim anyhow, saying they don't believe the trailers spoil too much about the game and there's a lot left to be discovered. I'm sure they mean in terms.
You know what's the most important part about not Dragon's Dogma, Crimson Desert? It's that it has unique combat styles. That there are, like, you know, your basic moves with archery, sorcery, sword and board, and, you know, maybe summoning. Summoning would also be cool in a game like this, even though that would probably be tough for, well, whatever engine they're using, right? Summoning is always a fiddly thing. That's why a lot of games don't do it. You typically need, like, specialized engines to handle that shit. But whatever. Enough techno blabber, because everyone hates it because it's boring. I want a Dragon's Dogma 2 style combat. You know, at the beginning, you're like, oh, shoot the bow. And after a little while passes, you're like, okay, shoot the bow, and it's gonna summon 50 trillion comets that destroy this 5-month-old child. Holy shit. Bigger devastation than Epstein's Island, boys. Yes, I want that type of progression, you know? That's what I like. I like power acquisition in games. You start off throwing toothpicks at raccoon eyes, and then you end up casting meteor showers and pulling Mars from orbit into a caterpillar because you felt like it. That's what I like.
Bosses and dungeons and stories, right? There's no way there's more unexpected.
Also, we really need to talk about the ability to get rid of the unwanted. Listen. A fantasy world is cool, but it's no fantasy if we cannot get rid of the orc menace. Okay? Free the Shire.
Features. And even if that's exactly the case and everything is there, I'm not gonna be disappointed. I mean, there's an entire dispatch system where you can recruit soldiers and send them out to do little missions on behalf of yourself, like Assassin's Creed 4 or Metal Gear Solid 5. They can also be sent out to attack enemy bases to whittle down resistance for you while you're out busy doing something else. Like, they just offhand revealed in third preview video, you can just do that. Just another feature to add to the.
Yeah, a World of Warcraft mission board is not exactly, by the way, breathtaking, but it's nice that it is there.
Pile. And it'd be one thing if they were on a stage without a game telling you, oh, we're gonna make a game that does all this stuff. They're showing you a game. Now, again, to temper that,
yeah, there is a game. They're showing you a game. There's 5 elements. Where did we see it here? There's 5 elements. Dude, there's gonna be so much, okay? Well, what the hell is this, actually?
They actually do.
Oh, this is just a magic system. Okay.
So, I would say something maybe more realistic to be immediately concerned about is the potential performance. This game looks.
Yeah, the performance is probably going to be fine. People would bitch about the performance instantaneously in the demo if it was actually bad. So, I mean, Crimson Desert is beyond exciting, boys. Magic, this, that, so many options. Anyway, that was Game Ranks 10 out of 10. Bye!